My name is Lesley, editor-in-chief for the first volume of the Challenger paper series with the McNair Scholars Program. I'm actually a recent graduate from UC San Diego. I graduated last year, and I'm just completing my first year post-undergraduate studies.
Hi everyone, so my name is Belinda and I'm currently a senior at UCSD majoring in biochemistry and chemistry. So last year I was serving as the submission coordinator. So what I was doing is basically establishing the platform for students to submit their documents, and we decided to use the Google Classroom. So I was facilitating the communication between students and editors. And for this upcoming volume, I'll be serving as editor-in-chief and working towards our next volume. And I decided to join this organization with Lesley because I want to share the undergraduate paperwork to the greater community, because for McNair program particularly, they have a report that's a requirement for their program, and Lesley had this great idea of putting these work to be published for more people to read. So I think that's a very great idea, and I want to enhance the influence of these papers and to contribute to the greater community.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Monica Gonzalez Herrera. I am a student author. I recently graduated from UCSD, and I'm currently the graduate assistant, the orientation graduate assistant for Rebel College.
Hi everyone, my name is Jovi Stipe. I'm one of the other student authors. I'm a senior graduating in June of this year. I studied political science and African American studies.
The vision for this undergraduate paper series was first to create a safe space to introduce our McNair scholars to the world of academic publishing, and to create a platform for them to be able to share the important research that they're doing at the undergraduate level. Part of that vision and the mission of the McNair program is to provide a space where students can have an opportunity to access different resources that are necessary for graduate study. I know that one of the main missions of the McNair program is to prepare students for a PhD route. And I think during my time as a McNair scholar, I was very excited about my research, about the writing process, but I wanted a place where we could see what all students were doing at the same time, and kind of have an end product where we can share what other McNair scholars are doing. So I think that was part of the basis of creating the journal. In addition to, I think I have some perspective given that I graduated and I'm working in a research lab, and I'm seeing how important research publication is in order to move toward a PhD. I found it during the application process for graduate school, it's very important to have some sort of research publication under your belt, and to just go through that experience in a safe space is very important. So I thought this McNair paper series could be a place where scholars can feel safe to expose their research ideas at an undergraduate level. So that was part of why this idea came about.
The audience is mainly the UCSD community, but we're also hoping to reach out towards the greater scientific community. We hope these research to be read by as many people as possible, to share the thought process and the research mechanism of our scholars, so that it could spark new ideas or new ways of doing science and other types of research. And also, what kinds of author we're looking for motivated students that are very into and want to commit into learning how to write professional papers and want to share their work to the greater public. We want students that are happy and would like to share their work towards the greater public, and we're hoping to publish as many fields of discipline as we want, since what makes McNair program unique is that it incorporates students from various disciplines. We have people from human science, social science, physics, and math. So I think it will be a great opportunity to publish the work of different fields, and I think the communication between disciplines will also be impactful towards sparking new ideas.
Specifically for the McNair scholars, I think it's really important that this journal, again, provides a safe space, but also I think the audience, the intended audience for students to submit their papers is really to uplift students who come from underrepresented backgrounds, and to further that same idea from the McNair program, which is to provide those opportunities in terms of research, in terms of publication, and provide those same tools.
So the creation process, so we need committed members. So first we form a team. I think we start off with a team of 4 or 5. And then the first step is to write the basic documents, including the constitutional guideline, the submission guideline, and consent forms. So the essential documents for a student to publish their papers. And then the next step is to have a very good timeline for like when to open submission and when to close submission, and what to do with the online articles as well as the printed published journals. And then afterward, I think everything, so then that was like the initial set of the journal. And then moving forward, basically for this year, I was responsible for recruiting the board committee for the next volume. So I think it's very important to build a strong team of students that are very passionate with our journal mission and would want to contribute their strength and their experiences towards working towards a common goal. And what we learn is that we need to be very organized and have great forethought of we need to anticipate potential problems. So for example, last cycle, we were not doing a very good job in calling for submission, since I think we didn't receive that many submissions last year. And I think for this year, we can have more. I think the issue last year is that since we're a new organization, we didn't have that big of a credential, but since we published our very first volume, we definitely want to have more submissions, and I think all we need to do is just to spread out the words that we are opening for next volume. And what very worked well is to have a very organized timeline and stick with that timeline and always be anticipating potential issues.
Yeah, I think just to add on, Belinda, the first round of submissions we had this past year, I think it was a lot about just forming that foundation for the journal. So putting together a constitution, making sure we're having reach and asking students to apply. Designing the journal was a big aspect as well. So this first volume really served to lay out a foundation and lay out the vision for the journal. And I think for this next round, we're going to have more space to be a little bit more creative, to add on elements where we can be thinking about different disciplines. For this next time, I know we want to also incorporate research being done in the visual arts, and research in those fields looks different. So just being a little bit more mindful about the very diverse fields our scholars are coming from, and being able to receive that. How are we going to publish that? So for this next time around, I think we've gathered a lot of support from UCSD, from the Academic Enrichment Programs Office, from faculty, students. So there's more excitement around the journal this time around, because to some extent we've been able to, to prove this idea. So I'm excited for what'll come for next volume.
And I just want to add towards that. So another new thing that we're starting to do is for this year, we're establishing an editorial board, which is going to be composed of McNair alumni, and then we're going to have them to review our next submission papers. So these people will be they'll be very in good knowledge of their expertise. So we're going to have them to review our upcoming submissions, and we are also hoping to connect them to our current students to serve as like a mentor, like a guidance for, I guess, graduate school applications and so on. So we are constantly improving and advancing our journals to reach our journal mission.
I think at the beginning of this idea, when I first had this idea, I wasn't really sure who to reach out to. So I reached out to everyone. I spoke to faculty in my department, the psychology department. I spoke to the AEP office, obviously, McNair program. And in addition to that, I also asked for support from the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And so a lot of the responses at the beginning was, we'll put something together, and then, we'll see where this goes. So a lot of that groundwork was led by Belinda and myself. And this time, once we were able to produce something, we had a lot of positive response from faculty, from administration at UCSD, from the AEP office, and a lot of support moving forward with volumes to come. So as Belinda mentioned, we're in the process of putting together an editorial board for this next year and upcoming years. And yeah, I've been surprised to have not only support from UCSD, from faculty, and from administration, but also a lot of support from students who not only are interested in submitting their research, but also in taking leadership within the journal, which is great. It makes me feel a lot better about, maybe this, this is not just something that I see a need for, but there's also a lot of enthusiasm in the undergraduate community about creating this space. So it sounds like, it is a space that is needed.
So I just had a meeting with eScholarship lately, and then they're very excited to help us to get to be included in the DOAJ status. So it's very rewarding to receive so much attention and help from not only the UCSD community, but also from the outside publishing world.
I just really wanted to bring home the message about the idea for the journal, which is, yes, to extend from the McNair program that same vision of providing a space for underrepresented students, but also to include them in all aspects of publishing within this journal, not only applying to be a part of the journal and submitting their papers, but also I think it's crucial for students to understand that publication process from the other end, as editors, as leadership within the journal. And as I'm moving on into publishing my own papers in peer-reviewed journals, I'm realizing how important that is to have that exposure. And I think, providing a space such as the McNair Scholars where we know each other, where there's a sense of community, and to have that safe space to do it, to give ourselves constructive feedback through that editorial process, I think is very valuable, and I think it'll do a great lot for our students, and in preparation for that in PhD programs and beyond, because eventually what this is about is creating those opportunities for first-generation scholars, students of color, low-income students who may have not been exposed to this before. And that's really, the mission of the McNair program.
And I just want to add on in that this is a very valuable experience in not only learning more about the publication process or learning how to write a good paper, but you're also developing professional skills that's useful not only for graduate school, but for your future careers, since you'll be communicating with professionals back and forth, and you'll be taking advices from professionals and revising it accordingly. I think these are essential experiences and skills that will help you in the future, and I very hope like a lot of our students to get that fruitful product by publishing in our journal.